In an unprecedented and dramatic moment in modern British political history, the House of Commons has witnessed a total and swift collapse of confidence in Prime Minister Keir Starmer's leadership. What initially seemed like just another routine day in the legislative calendar rapidly transformed into a political watershed, one that saw members from across the political spectrum signal a complete withdrawal of support for the Labour government. This marked a clear and irreversible shift in the British political landscape, signifying the downfall of a government that had once appeared firmly in control. Did you know that over 95% of our viewers aren't subscribed to the channel? We totally get it, life gets busy, and sometimes it's easy to forget. But here's the thing, subscribing is completely free, and it really helps us keep creating the content you enjoy. So, why not hit that subscribe button and join our community? It only takes a second, but it makes a world of difference to us. Thank you for your support. In an astonishing move, the Speaker of the House, referencing established constitutional precedents and reflecting the unequivocal will of Parliament, formally recognised Nigel Farage as the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. This decision came after several weeks of mounting tension within Parliament, where dissatisfaction with Starmer's administration had been growing steadily. The Labour government had come under intense scrutiny and criticism over its policies on a range of contentious issues, including taxation, civil liberties, and state surveillance. The administration's handling of these issues had eroded public confidence, alienating both traditional Labour supporters and disillusioned voters from across the political spectrum. Criticism of the government intensified from both inside and outside the Labour Party. Some accused the leadership of becoming increasingly disconnected from the party's core base of working-class voters. Dismal polling numbers, mass protests in cities across the country, and growing unrest among Labour's backbench MPs all pointed to the same underlying truth: the government was no longer in touch with the people it claimed to represent. As the discontent continued to swell, the tipping point was reached. A growing number of Labour MPs, once loyal to Starmer, publicly defected or called for his resignation, further fracturing the party's fragile unity and rendering it incapable of holding on to the parliamentary majority necessary to govern effectively. The Speaker's announcement sent shockwaves through the House of Commons. Though it was not the result of a general election or a conventional vote of no confidence, the declaration nevertheless represented a decisive expression of parliamentary dissatisfaction with the current leadership. It was a moment of historic political consensus, which ultimately led to the elevation of Farage as Prime Minister. While the move was entirely within the legal framework, the political ramifications were extraordinary. The decision sparked immediate national and international responses, with commentators and politicians alike attempting to come to terms with the magnitude of the shift that had just taken place. Starmer, demonstrating a certain resignation to the inevitable, did not resist the Speaker's ruling. In a brief but measured statement, he accepted the decision, confirming that he would not challenge the new reality of Farage's ascension to power. This quiet acceptance by Starmer was emblematic of the abruptness of the political earthquake that had occurred. Once seen as a steady hand leading the country through turbulent times, Starmer's leadership now appeared to have unraveled overnight. His departure, albeit without dramatic confrontation, left the political stage wide open for Nigel Farage. Farage, who had long been an outsider in British politics, had been making a gradual return to the political scene in recent months. As former leader of the UK Independence Party, UKIP, and later the Brexit Party, Farage had built a reputation as an uncompromising critic of the political establishment. His return to the political fray was met with some skepticism, particularly from political elites, who dismissed his chances of gaining significant traction. However, Farage's political resurgence found a powerful ally in the widespread frustration felt by many voters and politicians who felt abandoned by the mainstream parties. His appeal, particularly to those on the right of the political spectrum, was growing steadily. Farage was increasingly seen as the figure who could deliver real change, someone who would challenge the status quo and restore power to the people. Following the Speaker's announcement, Farage took to the stage for his first speech as Prime Minister. He wasted no time in criticizing the political establishment for what he described as their blatant disregard for the concerns of ordinary citizens. Farage's speech resonated with many, as he promised to restore transparency and accountability to government. His tone was defiant, yet hopeful, as he pledged to dismantle what he called an entrenched political class that had long been out of touch with the electorate's needs. Farage positioned himself as the antithesis of Starmer's technocratic leadership, presenting himself as a leader who would listen to the people and restore faith in democratic governance. In stark contrast, the Labour Party was plunged into a state of immediate crisis. The party that had once been seen as a bastion of stability under Starmer's leadership now seemed to be disintegrating before the eyes of the nation. Senior Labour figures, including Rachel Reeves and Wes Streeting, were conspicuously absent from the public debate, either unavailable for comment or visibly shaken by the sudden and dramatic turn of events. Behind closed doors, reports emerged of resignations from key staff members, hastily convened emergency meetings, and increasingly bitter infighting as the party scrambled to understand the full extent of the collapse. The disarray was palpable, and many within the party expressed a sense of betrayal and frustration, with some even calling for a complete overhaul of Labour's leadership and strategic direction. Trade unions, once staunch supporters of Labour, began to publicly voice their discontent, with some regional branches and traditional Labour strongholds openly calling for a reconfiguration of the party's leadership structure. It became clear that, in the wake of Starmer's downfall, the Labour Party faced an existential crisis. The old guard was in turmoil, struggling to regain its footing, while the grassroots of the party seemed to be in revolt, demanding a change of direction. Meanwhile, outside Westminster, the public response to Farage's rise was equally dramatic. Crowds gathered outside Parliament, some celebrating his ascension as a necessary correction to a political system they viewed as corrupt, while others took to the streets to protest what they saw as an undemocratic parliamentary coup. Regardless of the political views of those involved, it was clear that a seismic shift had taken place. The political establishment had been shaken to its core, and there was little consensus on what would come next. Images of the Speaker's announcement and Farage's victory speech quickly spread across social media platforms and television news outlets. The moment became a defining image of the political upheaval, with millions of people sharing and commenting on the historic event. Internationally, governments and political analysts reacted cautiously, with many expressing concern over the future of British democracy and the stability of the political system. European Union officials convened emergency meetings to discuss the implications of the development, while the US State Department released a brief statement emphasizing the importance of maintaining stability and upholding democratic norms. In the financial markets, the British pound initially experienced some volatility, reflecting the uncertainty surrounding Farage's leadership and the potential policy changes he might implement. However, the currency quickly stabilized as investors awaited further clarification on Farage's political intentions. The next 24 hours saw Farage making overtures to form a new government, reportedly engaging in discussions with former Conservative MPs, independent members of Parliament, and figures from civil society who were critical of the Westminster establishment. His proposed cabinet was expected to reflect a departure from the traditional political elite. Reports indicated that Farage was seeking to bring in political newcomers and individuals with direct experience in public service, small business, and military affairs. The emerging picture suggested a government that would eschew career politicians in favor of individuals with grassroots credibility and a track record of serving ordinary citizens. For Labour, the road ahead appeared uncertain. Calls for a leadership contest, membership review, and a comprehensive policy re-evaluation were gaining traction within the party. Political observers speculated that Labour would need to reconnect with its core values and the working class communities that had once been its bedrock, or risk facing long-term electoral decline. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party, already weakened by years of internal divisions, would have to reassess its position in the wake of the rise of a populist alternative. As Britain enters an entirely new political era, the questions surrounding this seismic shift remain vast. Can Farage maintain broad parliamentary support long enough to implement substantial reforms? Will his government be able to withstand institutional resistance from entrenched bureaucracies, media scrutiny, and international pressure? And most critically, will the wave of public support that propelled this political upheaval continue, or will it wane as the reality of governance sets in? One thing is certain, the United Kingdom has just witnessed one of the most unexpected and far-reaching political realignments in decades. The once immovable mechanisms of power have been dramatically shifted. Whether this moment represents the beginning of a lasting transformation or a brief moment of political chaos will depend not only on Farage's leadership but also on how Parliament, the public, and the broader political establishment respond to the challenges ahead.